Welcome back on yet another new series that we're going to look at. We're going to take a look at these stats leaders. We're going to take a look at it quarterly, midseason, and at the end of the season to see who's leading each category. We're going to start with completion percentage, and some of the familiar names are going to be at the top. And we'll start with Julian Sayin, 78.9 completion percentage. So far, he has looked pretty good. It helps when you're throwing to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, but Julian Sayin has looked pretty good. Fernando Mendoza, not a surprise. He is off to a strong start. Dylan Raiola is kind of the surprise one here. I think that he's off to a good start, but I haven't really pictured him as completing a ton of his passes, but it's also not something that we're paying attention to in detail. Dante Moore, not really a surprise. Diego Pavia being up there. Again, some of these guys, it depends on how many passes they're throwing, but this is a group that is a big reason why their teams are having success. So that's not really a surprise. That's not really something that was super surprising if you're looking at this group. That's just the top five. That's what these groups, at least in the beginning, will be. We're going to do some individuals. We'll also do some teams later in the video. Passing yards, Sawyer Robertson, not really surprised there. We did do our quarterback power rankings. So if you haven't checked that video out yet, make sure you do. Sawyer Robertson, to me, is looking like the best quarterback in college football, leading the nation with 1,320 yards. Behind him, Steve Angeli, who unfortunately will not see his number increase as he tore his Achilles and is out for the rest of the season. Darian Mensah and Caden Hauser, well, actually, the next three, Darian Mensah, Caden Hauser, and Jalen Kitna. Those were three surprises to me. Kitna probably the biggest one because you don't really expect UAB to have a quarterback playing at this level. Caden Hauser, I don't really know that when I've watched him that he's put up big numbers, but yet here we are. Darian Mensah has had some good games, but also has had some struggles, and I think that the fact that Duke has been kind of behind in some games has maybe helped his numbers, but still a good performance so far from him. Passing touchdowns, this shouldn't really be surprising. Fernando Mendoza is leading the entire country with 14. Sawyer Robertson up next with 13. Taylor Green is off to a strong start. Same thing with Jalen Daniels. They are tied with Joey Aguilar at 12. Aguilar had a good performance against Georgia, which that's kind of what's been a big thing for Tennessee this year, is that quarterback play has really helped them, and Aguilar deserves a lot of credit. And then the last one, this is more of a negative one, but interceptions thrown. Caden Velkamp leads the country with 7. We have 4 players tied with 4. Chuba Purdy is not playing as well as you might have hoped, but I think that once again in Mountain West play, maybe he settles down. Preston Stone is off to a tough start. The Tulane game didn't exactly help him, and now he's up to 6. Jacob Clark for Missouri State. This is an explosive offense that has potential, but he's been having some troubles taking care of the football. The USC game didn't exactly do anything to build his confidence. And then DJ Lagway threw 5 of those picks a couple weeks ago, but he's up to 6 already, and Florida is in a real tough place right now. Next, we'll go to the runners and the receivers. We'll start with rushing yards. Robert Henry Jr. with 624 yards. He is off to an explosive start. Ahmad Hardy right behind him at 600 yards. That has been one of the biggest surprises for Missouri, besides Bo Perbula, is his emergence. Now, their rushing attack is a two-headed monster, and then you throw Perbula's rushing as well. This is a Missouri offense that's having a lot of fun. UTSA is really benefiting from Henry's emergence. Explosive plays have fueled his surge so far. Justice Haynes has been the consistent bright spot for Michigan's offense. Bryce Underwood has definitely liked having him, and at times when they've needed a big play, it's actually Justice Haynes that's made that play. Cam Cook, we thought that, I honestly was surprised when he transferred to Jacksonville State. I did think that he was a talented player that could make it work at TCU, but he goes to Jacksonville State and right now is off to a great start. He is headed for a career season, and through 4 games, he is over halfway to 1,000 yards. Hollywood Smothers is another big name to pay attention to for NC State. He has been off to a good start for the Wolfpack and has kind of helped CJ Bailey settle in. Rushing TDs, we're not going to dive into this one too much. We will be doing, if this one coming out, I don't know when this is going to be scheduled, but running back power rankings should be out if you haven't looked at those yet. Jonah Coleman leads the entire country with 9. There are 9 players tied with 7. So plenty of guys that are going to be able to push him. And again, early in the season, this looks like it could be a strong year for the running backs. Receiving yards was kind of surprising. The top 2 guys are not names that a lot of people know. Chase Hendricks, 456 yards for Ohio. He and Park Navarro have connected quite a bit, and the Bobcats are off to a strong start offensively. Skylar Bell, 445 yards. We knew that he could be a big-time threat. We knew that he could have a ton of potential for UConn, and so far he's looking really good. Mario Craver at times has carried Texas A&M's offense. He has been a reliable playmaker for Marcel Reed and for the Aggies for Colin Klein's offense. Makai Lemon, everybody's kind of talking about Jacoby Lane a little bit more, but Makai Lemon definitely deserves his credit. 438 yards to lead both USC and the Big Ten. Chris Brazell II, 426 yards. His big performance against Georgia is a big reason why he is up there as well. So we have some strong receivers. It's going to be fun to see how this turns out. Then we go to receiving touchdowns. Brazell is going to be leading that as well with 6. We have 8 players tied at 5. So we have a number of guys getting into the end zone. And again, this is going to fluctuate quite a bit. It's going to be very interesting to see how much this changes when the season ends. Then we're going to flip to the defense. We'll start with tackles. Ray Coney for Tulsa is tackling literally everything. He has been a great addition for the Golden Hurricane. He joins his head coach and comes over to Tulsa from East Tennessee, joins Trey Lamb with the Golden Hurricane, leads the entire country with 49 tackles. Chris Jones for Southern Miss, 46 tackles. Red Murdoch, this is a guy who we talked about coming into the season, an absolute tackling machine. 44 tackles for him. Jaden Pearson is one of the leaders for Fresno State's defense, 42 tackles. After them, we do have 5 guys tied at 39, and right now we have some guys that are headed to monster seasons for terms of tackle. Tackles for loss, Makai Mason, a guy who we're not really talking about a ton. Not a lot of people are talking about Louisiana Tech. 8 tackles for loss. John Henry Daly is off to a strong start. 7.5 tackles for him. He has been a big reason why Utah is having the season that they're having. And Brian Parham, that's a guy who we talked about, former San Jose State transfer that could have had a big year for UConn. And so far he's off to a strong start. Then we have 4 guys tied at 7. Multiple guys that are right on the heels of these leaders. Going into sacks, John Henry Daly once again comes up here, has 7 sacks on the year. He has been an absolute force for Utah's defense. Brian Parham, again, 5.5 tackles or sacks here with his 7.5 tackles for loss. Quincy Rhodes, he is one of those guys that is tied at 7 tackles for loss, 5 sacks for him. Vincent Anthony Jr. is off to a strong start with 5 sacks. Jaden Burnett for Tulsa, another guy for that Tulsa defense that is playing really well. 5 sacks for him. Had a big game against Oklahoma State. And then finally, interceptions. This one was always going to be tough because it's hard to separate. Amaris Brown leading the entire country with 4. There are 5 guys tied at 3, and there are a ton more tied at 2. So this is going to be one that we probably just see a lot of people towards the top. We'll see how much we expand upon this. We'll see if Brown can keep the lead or if somebody else takes over. And finally, we'll get into some team stats. Just really quick, 2 teams for each category. Scoring offense. Florida State leads the entire country with 58 points per game. Now, they have played some weaker competition. Besides Alabama, they won 31-17 in that game. They have been absolutely taking it 2 teams ever since then. Washington, kind of the same thing, playing weaker competition. We'll find out if they can do that against the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend. Then we go to total offense. Florida State, once again, at the top, 628.7 yards per game. Indiana currently at 588.5. Again, Florida State playing some weaker competition. Indiana is absolutely just dominating everybody. They are off to a hot start. They're an absolute wagon right now, and these offenses are looking really strong. Pass offense, this one kind of surprised me. Boston College is leading the country with nearly 400 yards per game passing, 393.7. Dylan Lonergan has been a great addition for Bill O'Brien's team, and even though the team has had some struggles, the passing attack has been a big reason why they've had success. Texas Tech, 368.5, not really surprising. I think it's just surprising that they're in second place behind the Eagles. Rush offense, this one wasn't really surprising. Navy leading the entire country, 375.3. Florida State, once again, back in the conversation, 363 yards per game on the ground. They are doing a lot of good things, and I think Mike Norvell deserves a lot of credit for what he's been able to do. Gus Malzahn, his offense has looked really good, and Florida State is off to a hot start because of it. Then we flip it to the defensive side of things. Scoring defense, BYU and Ohio State are tied at the top, 5.3 per each. I think that Ohio State has benefited from playing weaker competition, but also they did pretty well keeping Texas at bay. BYU had a strong performance last week against ECU, and they'll have another opportunity this weekend when they face Colorado. Total defense, the Minnesota Golden Gophers actually are in first place, 177.7 yards per game. That's not really surprising in terms of personnel, but with a new defensive coordinator taking over, that is a little bit of a surprise, but also some nice things, some positive things for this program going forward. BYU once again shows up, 205.3 yards per game. Pass defense, Nebraska has been pretty strong, 75.8 yards per game. Actually, the only team that's under 100 yards per game through the air. James Madison, 103.3. Now, part of that has to do with how strong the front seven has looked, but also that secondary has been really good. Jacob Thomas has looked really strong as the leader of that group, and the Duke's defense has looked solid so far. And then the final one we'll talk about, rush defense. Minnesota is leading the way, 41.3 yards per game. Nobody is running on that Gophers defense. And BYU, once again, 44.3. They have looked really strong. We knew there was some turnover on the defensive line, but those linebackers have gotten them up to speed so far. And it'll be fun to see if they can continue this trend. Those are going to be the stats that we see right now. Those are the leaders for each category. Let me know what you think of each category. If you want to see any more for the midseason update, let me know what stats you'd like to see and who's leading them. If you want me to see expand some of these to top 10s, top 5s, let me know that in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.